In 1979, Australian studio pop project Flash and the Pan issued their self-titled debut album amid a bit of preceding fanfare, and from it the track The African Shuffle. Okay, already that beginning, I just love the quietness surrounding that piano. It locks you into that the staccato, very like tight melodic nature of that motif. A minor, and now after like two bars that are or whatever, the backing comes in, and it changes the cadence. We've got this strum behind it and this really tight rhythmic pattern. Already, I'm getting the feel of like Alan Parsons meets Jeff Lynne, kind of like that. Just that studio pop perfection. It's like you can tell. You can sense that they spent a lot of time just polishing this. Okay, notice how the melody is just kind of holding on in the same notes in A minor amid the descending root note. Yeah, a sequence that's been around at least since While My Guitar Gently Weeps, going like a polychordal descent from A minor, dun 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 dun, G A minor, F sharp, A minor, F. Yeah. That piano motif or like electric is so persistent throughout this, and I've never actually taken inventory on what exactly is creating that sound. It's basically we've got the team of Harry Vanda and George Young, who had been the creative masterminds behind 60s beat band The Easy Beats, and yeah, synthesizer, lead vocal George Young, and production Harry Vanda, and then we got some studio hands doing. Guitar vocals Harry Vanda, and amid some studio hands on piano, bass, and drums.
Well, it's there at the doorway and out in the street.
Now that's a great way to resolve that melody. Da na 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 na, and that's going to be kind of instrumental, like in the end of it. And as a matter of fact, you're hearing a preview of a key vocal melody in this.
Drives down the highway and aims at their feet.
It's coming out of my right speaker, this rhythmic component. And that radio voice is just a trademark of the band. Yeah, maybe it's a unique touch. It may be used to disguise a kind of lack of singing voice, but I like it. Let's catch up on the lyrics here. Well, it's there at the doorway and out in the street. Drives down the highway and aims at the feet. I'm going to be finally learning after 30 years what this song is about, if anything. It sneaks. Okay. They're talking about something so far. I'm sensing that this is just about a dance craze that's made me catching on, the African Shuffle.
It sneaks in the bathroom and plays in the bed, sits down to breakfast and shouts out instead.
Oh, I love this move. How we've basically taken the same like A minor descent that had been framing the song all along. We move it up to D minor and do the same thing, do the same descent, only this time from D, and then we move it to B. Yeah, that's a bit of an odd one to go from D minor to B like that. Like
upsets the rhythm of butter and bread, and it's fun for the head.
And that dun has not let up the whole time.
Do it, the African Shuffle.
What did I tell you? Da 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 da. That melody that bisected the verse couplets. That really staccato down, down, down in A minor. That choppy chord. The only time that keyboard figure pauses.
In the evenings it hangs out in dance halls and bars.
Okay, let's catch up with the lyrics. It sneaks in the bathroom and plays in the bed, sits down to breakfast and shouts out instead, upsets the rhythm of buttering bread. Oh, I always thought he said of butter and bread, and it's fun for the head. Okay, the chorus you was quite easily decipherable. In the evenings it hangs out in dance halls and bars, leaps out of windows and sails by in cars. Yeah, I get the feeling, I saw this, one of the true crime people on YouTube a few weeks back did this one segment about this dance that supposedly took over people in this one town. I'm trying to think, when was this? I'm thinking this was like in the 17th century, and they had to have these people evaluate. I'm wondering if this is about a dance that's taking over.
Leaps out of windows and sails by in cars. It's there in the alcove with whiskey and coke, friend of the able and everyday folk.
Hear the harmonies going along the descent, the ooh, like,
Blasting a path through the cigarette smoke.
and now it's ah.
And talking's a joke. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do the African shuffle.
Stylistically, you could say that this is like a perfect marriage between like slick studio pop, a bit of like ethno elements thrown in. Well, Buffet is the title anyway, and then new wave to a certain degree. That's particularly that staccato chorus, that down, down, like. Yeah, maybe kind of like some strange cross between like Electric Light Orchestra and Devo. Yeah, banal simile. Yeah, that don't quote me on that. Okay, now you heard this quite a lot on records circa like 1978, 79. Yeah, kind of a bit of borrowed tribalism here. I wonder if this was recorded in the studio or they took a tape out and taped something live and inserted it in, like something going on in a park, at a beach, or someplace. I like how those hey, it's the reason I asked that is because those voices are so remote and far away. It's like they're really trying to create the ambience of like just being there when some like tribal ritual is going on. Yeah, it's like there's no microphone on those like. I never noticed how persistent that rhythmic component is in right. The way that melody is just kind of like bubbling over as it reasserts itself and rising intensity. Okay, now we've combined the chorus with the song proper. Yeah. And even more of kind of a strummy, kind of urgent feel now. love those like West Coast type falsetto vocals right there. Yeah, the higher like, oh, forgot that. Okay, the lyrics that I didn't quite get. Okay, let's see. In the evenings, it hangs out in dance halls and bars. Okay, covered. Leaps out of windows and sails behind cars. It's there in the alcove with whiskey and coke. Friend of the able and everyday folk. Blasting a path through the cigarette smoke. Wow, I like this triplet. Yeah, he's on quite a rhyming roll there. I never quite caught the complexity of these visuals before. Yeah, and talking's a joke. Wow, huh? Quadruple it. Yeah, and then just goes out to the crowd. Okay, I'm going to assume that it's just about a dance craze or something. That's just in that's catching on in all walks of life. Everywhere you go, you find it. Or maybe it's about a type of music that's a type of musical rhythm that's becoming popular, like on the music that's coming out, and people are just hearing it everywhere. They're hearing it in all kinds of different songs by all different kinds of perform. Maybe it's about disco. Maybe it's just about the except I don't. Maybe it's about a variant. Maybe it's kind of like about an imaginary craze that's based on the omnipresence that disco had for a time. Yeah, like another craze that was just as pervasive. Notice that very I like that rhythmic pattern right there. It's yeah. And everything just kind of falls down, kind of like sinks into darkness. Echoing, haunting piano and background backward sounds. Oh, I love the sequencing going into the spooky number. Yeah, you cannot separate the two.
Up above the sunny skies in South California.
Oh, atmospheric, like eerie electronic sounds with that kind of throbbing bass line. And
There's a wounded rocket flying high, heading homeward.
yeah, it's arrangements like this that had a lot of people who were taking notice in Australia declaring Flash in the Pan to be the music of the 80s. Like, yeah, there were a lot of people saying that, predicting that this was going to like reinvent music for the 80s. And
It came from a hollow under a hill, and soon there'll be nobody left to kill in California.
I remember when I was first getting into this album 30 years ago, the summer of 1989. It was back in an era when I would go to San Francisco every summer, and I had this on in my mom's car as we were driving up and down like the hill, the real steep roads of that city, and it became kind of like a tradition to always make sure I played this track at least once while driving through, because I would for about an 8-year period I was going to San Francisco every summer. Yeah, and the last few times I went down there, it was a ritual to make sure had this on hand to put it into the tape player while driving those streets.
Last night, Captain Black was dancing at the Whiskey A Go-Go.
Okay, the Whiskey A Go-Go just got name checked. Now, I'm going to be finding out today, finally, more of what the song's about, because I didn't have like a lyric sheet on hand 30 years ago with this album. But I've always kind of assumed that this was about the possibility of San Francisco, of the Bay Area getting buried underwater by rising sea levels, but maybe not. And to imagine though that there was talk about that 40 years ago.
When a well-known groupie knocked him back, busted his ego.
Hear those like subtle synthesizers giving us kind of a melody, like no, 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 no.
Stoned out of his head, he crawled off to bed. The following morning, he went to the pad. The missile was standing, pointing.
This actually could be about maybe nuclear annihilation or something. This also being at the height of the Cold War, when a lot of people, I guess at this time, I know that during the 80s there were a lot of people that thought the world was going to end in nuclear war between the United States and the Soviet Union.
The skies of California.
Okay, let's see. Up above the sunny skies in South California. Oh, this is about South. Oh yeah, I should Whiskey A Go-Go. So my own. Well, yeah. No. So it doesn't quite apply to the Bay Area. It applies to Los Angeles. Yeah. Okay. There's a wounded rocket flying high, heading homeward. It came from a hollow under a hill, and soon there'll be nobody left to kill. In California, maybe this is about a post-apocalyptic scenario in which life in LA had been decimated. Yeah. Last night, Captain Black went dancing at the Whiskey A Go-Go when a well-known groupie knocked him back, busted his ego. Stoned out of his head, he crawled off to bed. The following morning, he went to the pad. The missile was standing, pointing to the skies of California. Oh, maybe so. That's the Captain Black. So, so basically, he has a bad experience with a woman. He gets spurned by a woman, and he takes out his frustration by dropping a missile on Los Angeles. That seems to be where things are going. Kind of taking on sort of a Marshall feel right here. As a matter of fact, you know what? This never occurred to me before, but I'm starting to think a little bit of that song by Argent, a Man for All Reasons, or A Man for All, off of Nexus. That one.
The red balloon was flying high, watching the weather.
Not the arrangement, though. The arrangement to this, a moment ago I was kind of thinking that this may have been a moment where the sound that like Ultravox were proposing a couple of years beforehand on the track My Sex may have just been starting to catch on with some other, like that really slow, rhythmless, kind of dark feel. On the other hand, it could also represent, say, this coming out the same year, or just a little bit before Unknown Pleasures, presenting more of kind of like a studio perfectionist like take on on similar ideas.
Captain was trying hard to get it together.
Heck, just imagine if Jeff Lynne or Alan Parsons were to have attempted doing, say, a quote-unquote post-punk song on, say, one of their albums circa 1978-79. Like, say, if Discovery or Pyramid, those albums, or yeah, had a track more kind of in a, like a Joy Division-esque vein.
Immediate names came into his brain. A rocket from China, a Russian plane.
Yeah, I love that voice. It just works so well for this. I'm surprised. I've always been a little bit surprised that more bands didn't explore the potential of that kind of, I guess, vocoderized. Most people just, when they used it as a gimmick, like on one track. But to actually find a way to turn it into kind of a way of disguising the voice in a way that could still be like acceptable, like and understandable, you know.
He pushed the wrong button, and soon there'll be no place called California.
I love those tinklet droplets piano. The part where it gets more stately, the bass and the starts to get punctuated amid the chorus line. Let's see, one more verse. The red balloon was flying high, watching the weather. Captain Black was trying hard to get it together. Immediate names came into his brain. A rocket from China, a Russian plane. He pushed the wrong button, and soon there'll be no place called California. So basically the fate of South California rested, or of California in general, even I guess an explosion is going to rock LA and reverberate all across the state. Yeah. And it's all because of one man. Okay, now you know that we're getting a bit more intense and heading towards the climax as more synth layers kind of rise and rise. No. Okay, prepare for a feast of just eerie sounds and... How many layers are you hearing here? I mean, there's like the in the middle, there's the higher sounds. There's the background sounds. They've kind of faded out now, but... These higher, kind of icier sounds have slowed things up. Yeah, that was almost kind of like... toward the end, I was even kind of thinking a little bit of Gary Newman. Like around this time period, or that last like kind of icy sound we heard, maybe a bit like Klaus Schulze, tended to go for those real glacial type tones and such. Yeah, that was California by Flash and the Pan, and before that the African Shuffle. Yeah, two tracks that have always been have always been grouped together on whichever version of the album you have. I guess on the original, the album actually came out in 1978 in Australia with a very progressive rock looking album cover. And yeah, on Albert Productions, and then it came out the following year in the U.S. And with a more familiar cover, I guess, to a lot of people, of these people sitting kind of in concert on a beach with their hands behind their backs, all wearing sunglasses and being flanked with frisbees. And yeah, released on Epic. And on the Epic version, these two tracks are the fourth and fifth tracks on side one. California, what we just heard, being the side closer. And on the Albert Productions version, I guess they're the first tracks on the album. Seems kind of strange to begin an album on. Yeah, I think Epic kind of got the sequencing a bit better. Yeah, that's definitely like a kind of a climactic, a side climax anyway. Those two, yeah. And another point I wanted to raise: Flash in the Pan seemed to be like the Australian equivalent of the Buggles, in that both were primarily studio kind of art pop duos, comprised of musical pairs with pre-existing industry ties. Yeah. Yeah, it's like the Buggles are sometimes thought of as a new wave band, but they weren't really new wave in so much as that they had been around since the early 70s, and they had ties to the industry. They had been involved in production. And the same thing with these guys, with Vanda and Young. Vanda and Young had been around since the mid-60s, and, you know, and of course, the Easy Beats were fronted by Stevie Wright, who had some ups and downs during his career, but he eventually joined Flash and the Pan. Like on their, at least their third album, Headlines, he's the vocalist. And they actually become a band rather than just a studio proposition like they are here. And just for the record, it's Flash and the Pan. Kind of a play on the idiom Flash in the Pan. Yeah. Anyway, for more Rubies and Sapphires from the catalog of Flash in the Pan, see the directory of albums by Australian artists linked in the description below. For Red Hot tracks and purples from this album and a few of the ones after that, 1980s Lights in the Night, 1982's Headlines, and yeah, they're like Early Morning Wake Up Call. Yeah, they're all pretty good. Like and subscribe, follow me on social media, share the video, and leave a comment if there are any observations you have about the two tracks we just heard: the composition, the production, the touches, the interplay, the sections, the lyrics, the overall vibe and feel. And until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most ear-traveled trimaximalist, signing off.